Hello and welcome. It is the crypto day morning for the 20th day of September 2018. My name is Derek. All trades, bets, and of the like within one's own risk reward. For myself, risk reward management is always job number one. So we'll start off within the monthly chart and keep on shrinking in time until we ultimately get to the 5-minute time frame. Price action in at 64.42, the time of this video, 8:19 a.m. Eastern Time. So correctionary phase continuing within this 18 average. It's been seeing very low volatility. This is month number 4, where you can barely see these moves, and there's been a few of them in the past. And even in here before this thing, after this bottom and period, 1, 2, 3, 4 periods before it got up to the 18 of lows after it was below it. And that's what you're going to be getting in at times, where it's going to have high volatile movements as it's making new highs and lows. And as it's correcting its moves, that's when the lower volatile movements have been coming into play. Historically in markets, this being no exception. Let's continue on further within the weekly chart. And I like the 3-day better because it's going to show these highs and lows really good, basically within the same similar analyses. And it's been resisting within the 18 for 3 turns in a row, where it has managed to get up to the 18 of highs and then back down below the 18 of lows, as it came up here in April, below it, back again above it in July, below it, and it pretty much got up to it within this last high, and it's now barely been below it. Again, that's part of the lower volatility, and when viewing this via that of the 3-day time frame, we can see each of the lower highs, and the last one, of course, barely getting above it. But this level here has been holding. So the shape formation of this descending triangle, even though it's not a straight line going down, and it's most certainly not a straight horizontal line around, that's a key word, around the 6,000 mark, the pattern is still that in place. It's showing weakness right now amongst the 18 average of lows. With that being stated, there has been several times where this has shown the weakness in here. As we could see, it was having a retest of this level. This is where extreme bias was towards the downside, showing weakness amongst the 18 average of lows again in here. So that's been all part of the support that is tested. And like I've said quite often, it's going to keep holding this 6,000-ish area until it doesn't. And that's if that's the case. It may just have a nice bunch of moves higher, one large one, a couple large ones, a pattern of higher highs and higher lows, and we're all going to forget about the 6,000 area. But you can have this thing find support like 8-9 times, and then it's just finally going to fail. And then if that does happen, I've talked about this going back for a while, the 2 things I'm going to be looking for: one, will there be a failed move somewhere around 5,000 or 4,800-ish area, which would mean a move that goes down quickly, recuperates back. I've talked about that before, so I'm not going to talk much more. And as well as 3,000, would that be an interesting support level? If that event happens, time will only tell upon such. But again, the pattern has not changed of lower highs and matching lows, and that of a descending triangle. Let's transition this into the single day time frame, which again we can see around 6,100 here, how well that support has come into place. Yesterday, very interesting session, as it was an outside period, an outside day literally on the daily time frame. And that's when both the highs and the lows have breached each other from its previous period, and it did so easily or noticeably or by large amounts, because the previous day's high was 63.90. Yesterday's high was 65.10. The previous day low was 62.26. And a side note, that's only about 3%, not even volatility that day. But the low was 62.26. 6,100 yesterday, for volatility at about 7%, and it has followed through with this nice green candle today. So that can oftentimes, with an outside period, indicate that an interesting move or change of direction, change of story, is going to come into play. And the story is and has been for a while correcting sideways within the 6100 up to about 6600 range. So it's in that story. So is it going to change it? It's either got to break resistance or support. In order to do so, it is resisting amongst the 18. It has had continuous resistance amongst it because it started resisting it on September 13th. It had its correction area barely going below it, not only on the 17th, but it had its failed breakdown yesterday below it. So it's holding it really well enough where the 18 average is going to start going sideways if the price at least does not decline from this stage forward. So if we take a look at this on the next time frame, which will be the 400-minute term, we can see in here these levels of resistance. First off, we got a high in at 65 1/4. This high in here is about 65.87. So, and then you have this high in here at about 65.10, which the 6500s is the next big level of resistance, most obviously. And I like after this green candle, we see 3 periods showing strength amongst this 18 of highs. When we move this on to the triple hour time frame, we can see that move more clearly now. This is that move yesterday. I did a bonus video on such where it went down really fast and then up even faster. Well, from this moment, there's this red candle down, bringing it to the 18 highs. 3 periods after that where it's just consolidated amongst that. That last period, it left it to the upside, and continuation. It's only a half an hour into this period, as it being little after 8:30 or almost 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's when this period will start. It goes on from 8 to 11 in this case. And nice little definite bullish optimism when you look at a pattern of this nature as if it's ready to go. We've already seen yesterday's outside day. It's already consolidated very well thus far. On the single hour time frame, we can see the sideways range from the move. Support has been successful thus far at 63.75. Level of resistance, we have this little bit at 64.15. I'm going to place a horizontal ray on that level because I'm going to be using it for even more shorter term analysis, because it's managed to find multiple support roughly at around this area. I'm just even going to reduce it down a bit. And then we have this level of resistance amongst somewhere above here, because it had a couple hits from this leg lower. So the move that has just occurred within this period, 31 minutes left, has come close to this line. Let's take a look at this clearly on the 15. This is where an interesting pattern is looking. As we can see that this first line in here, which was the resistance throughout all this moment, was support. It had several periods where it was staying within the 18 average. And now it has been, I don't even want this line on here anymore. Let's just notice that it has supported it. That's the best way to put it. Let's put it down in here. So it got above it on the 7 a.m. time frame. And then next period after that, it holds that move, small price correction, but it rebounds or it regains that selling immediately in the next period. It's held that for the previous move at the higher end of this most recent range. 53 seconds left. This period's almost over. It's pretty much a continuation from the last one. So that to me is a very bullish signal that things are going to have a good probability that there could be a significant move, or the next move to be to the upside. I might get a failed move down before it goes up, and the up move might be a failed move, who knows. But for at least how it is playing through, I think on the 5-minute time frame, if you see that this 18 gives in, any of the bullish biasness would definitely start to evaporate. And as far as where it needs to hold, this level of support, the area around 64.12 on the very short term, I think is also going to be very important, or used as an indicator with the 18 if this is unable to break out, because to me this is short term where the must hold area is. I don't think it really needs to go down there, or I still like the probabilities that this thing could have a nice little move, because I like how as it resisted in here, it's had several hits amongst this point, that it had the breakout above resistance. It's now come back to where it came from here. So I do like the chances, as I'm concluding the video, that it can have a move continuation from here for at least one more leg higher. Of course, everything you do is always within your own risk reward. And have yourself a magnificent day. Bye-bye.